A lot of great information there from Chris Ten Magnet about storytelling. And a couple themes that I just want to hit on before we move on to the next topic. The first one that I think where a lot of guys have trouble with is you really have to live that story. When you're telling a story, live it in your head. Even if, to give you an example, if I'm telling a story about something that happened at a party my ex-girlfriend was throwing, I might not be revealing all these details, but I am seeing that party in my head. I am seeing and hearing it. I know what she was wearing. I know how many people were there. I know what the atmosphere was like. I know what her condo was looks and smells like. I know how I felt being there. And all of that stuff, it's like if you were writing a book, this would be sort of all the backstory that doesn't actually get into the book, but it motivates the characters. You got to have that in your head. If you are telling a story, you've got to live that story in your head. That's what's going to make it feel emotionally immediate to a woman. And remember, attraction is an emotional process. So, you have the best story in the world with bad delivery is not going to be as good as, somebody who's trained by Love Systems reading their grocery list. Emotional connections and being able to inspire emotions through your storytelling is what it's about. So that's the first one. You absolutely have to live that story in your head. The second thing is don't be quick to reject. If you're telling a story that doesn't quite work the first few times, don't necessarily throw it out. It usually takes maybe a dozen or so times before you've kind of got your delivery down and you've got the right way of telling a story. I mean, you'll start to notice, okay, maybe this element I should take out, maybe I need more here, just by observing people's reactions when you're telling the story. And so really watch what kind of cues you're getting and tell a story over and over and over again until you kind of become a little comfortable with it. Now, a lot of guys write or call in because they've got the Routines Manual 1 or Routines Manual 2, and they've taken a lot of these stories, straight out of the box and, told them word for word to women, and they've been successful with that. And that's fine as far as it goes. I mean, these things are meant to be examples, and they're useful for a couple of ways. One is, you can start to see patterns and similarities in these stories and how they work. They've all got certain structures and certain emotional triggers that, the reasons why they've made the book and why they're in there is because they work. So you'll want to see, what are some of the commonalities between them? What kind of feelings do you get when you tell these stories? And they're great as training wheels and as practice for you. And then there's a couple of things that you should do with that. Sometimes it's very easy to modify one of these stories that actually reflects your own life. And that's fantastic. And go ahead and do that for sure. And the other way is kind of as a control mechanism. So if you are going up to a woman and you're talking to her and then you tell her a story, and let's say it doesn't have a good reaction. Well, there could be all kinds of reasons for that. It could be a bad story, or it could be your delivery was off, or it could be your body language wasn't working. It could be your identity wasn't congruent. It could be all kinds of things. But, and that's not going to be very helpful to you if you tell a story and it doesn't work. You don't know if it had anything to do. It might have been the best story in the world, but it might have been the other things that were going wrong. So that's why the Routines Manual is good, because this stuff, we know it works. I mean, it's been used, thousands of times around the world. So you can use these stories, and if you're getting a good reaction, okay, now you know that you've got your body language and your tonality and your identity and all of that stuff is working for you. If you're not getting good reactions out of stuff that's in the Routines Manual, you can fix all the other stuff until you do. And then once all that other stuff is fixed, then you can go experiment with whatever, because you're going to get an honest picture back of whether this stuff is working or not. Like, you get a good reaction, all right, you've got a good routine. You get a great reaction, you've got a great story. You got a bad reaction, well, you got to work on this one a little bit. But you know that it's, actually more the material than you. So with those thoughts in mind, definitely would encourage you to make storytelling an important part of your arsenal. Women love a good storyteller. So enjoy.